All right, y'all. We are live. Good evening, good evening, good evening, good afternoon, good morning to those who will catch the replay. This is Tanisha slash Tanita Bestseller. I am an author, I'm an editor, I'm a publisher, I'm an entrepreneur, but more than anything, I am a woman of God. I am a child of God. I am redeemed by Jesus's precious blood, and the Holy Spirit has given me an assignment. He has given me an assignment. So tonight, we are here to talk about something that you may not hear talked about in the church. You may not hear it talked about around your family dinner table. You may not hear this talked about in school. Your parents may not have talked to you about this. Come on now. This is one of the things, we'll just call it one of those secret sins. So, you know, the top sins where people talk about the adultery and fornication. They say if you shacking, you know, this is obvious you in sin. And if you cheat on your husband or your wife, it's obvious you are in sin. But this one right here likes to hide a little bit. It likes to hide a little bit. So tonight we are talking about the negative effects of pornography. And let me just say, as a person who has been redeemed, a person who has been saved, a person who has been, sorry, y'all, people are texting me, a person who has been literally delivered from addiction to pornography. And I know a lot of times we say that this should be, or we assume that this spirit only applies to men. So on this platform, we have women, and we have men, and there will be some other people coming on. But the problem is a lot of times we only associate this with men. So speaking from a woman's perspective, I almost tore my marriage up because of the addiction to pornography, almost tore my family up, my marriage, my family, all of that. So I got some people on with me tonight. We gonna talk, we just gonna dialogue, and we gonna go from there. Y'all can chime in and ask questions. I'm on Facebook Live via Zoom, so I'm not sure that I can see all of your comments. But even if you comment, I'll go back later and look at the comments, and I'll respond to those comments as we converse, and I'll try and catch them up on my phone as well. But I want Mr. KB Banks to start and introduce himself. Tell the people who you are. You don't have to tell them your connection to pornography right now, but just tell them who you are in general and what you do.
Awesome. Thank you, Tanisha, for having me. I'm honored to be here. I feel like I was in church. Think about honor God who's here in my life.
Giving honor to God,
To
who
the
was the head of
pastor,
my
God,
whole
the
life.
bishop.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, so KB Banks, I am entrepreneur, music teacher, owner of Kingdom Keys School of Music.
Yeah.
And I can add author, huh,
Yeah.
Tanisha? It's been a
Yeah.
long time coming,
Oh yeah.
but
Wait,
I can
wait.
finally
Two-time author. Two-time
come
author.
on.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Come on, somebody. We ain't
Yeah.
even talked about that yet. They don't even know yet. They don't even know yet. Well, now they know, I guess. Thanks a lot.
They know. They know.
But yeah, but I do. Music, but above that, I am a music teacher with Kingdom Keys School of Music, and above all else, I am the husband of the beautiful Tiffany Nicole. So,
Oh yes. Ain't she beautiful?
yeah, ah, won't he do it? Won't he
Won't he
do
do
it?
it? Yes.
Yes.
All right. Lady Danielle, good evening. Good evening. Tell us
Good
who you are.
evening. I am Danielle of Woman I Am. I am an author as well. I'm a social worker. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a seamstress. I am probably some other things that I didn't even know that I was as well. But I just wanted to say good evening to everyone.
Thank you so much. Danny Boy King, you on mute. Your screen that went black. I can't see you. You in the closet. What is going on? Introduce yourself. He done went and got back in the closet. We try to come
Okay.
out the closet.
Y'all, the funny thing, I'm sitting over here just dying laughing because everybody that knows me know I work for Vicky Winans. And so she over here like, do your Zoom from my house. And I'm like, oh, Jesus. I done ran in her closet because she got this movie screen so loud. But hi, everybody.
You in the
Danny Boy.
closet for real. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I am. Look, I'm in her closet. It's so much.
Lord.
Okay,
That's how you know a woman got too much stuff.
You know
But
what?
I am Danny Boy King from Detroit. I'm just excited about what's going on. I don't know I heard your question, but I think that's all you said.
I mean, like who you are, what you do. You do a lot.
Oh, I'm
So
an
tell people
ex-porn
what you
watcher. Say no, I'm not.
Amen. Delivered.
Oh, God. No, I'm Danny Boy King. Real name is Daniel. I'm a minister. I'm the founder of Phenomenal Me, which is an organization to let people know no matter what your mistakes are, you are still phenomenal. So
Yes.
I'm just an advocate to help people overcome whatever obstacle it is, because God is the Redeemer.
Yes. Amen. Amen.
Yes, ma'am.
Amen.
All right. So as the other people come on, I'll have them introduce themselves. But let me just jump right in.
Mhm.
My stance is that pornography is wrong according to the verse, because here's what the enemy used to tell me. Well, the Bible doesn't specifically say the word like pornography or porn or pornography. And the enemy would tell me, you need to watch this. You need this so that you know how to be a wife. You need this so that you know how to please your husband. After all, nobody's taught you what to do. So, but the Bible says we can go to God and ask for wisdom in all things. Hey, glory. Yes. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
but the enemy would tell me I needed this. And I would tell myself, it's a teaching tool. It's a learning tool. And for me, it became not only a tool, it became a crutch. And I was addicted to it long before I was married. I had probably been watching it since the age of 12 or 13. I can't remember. But let's go to KB first. Do you remember your first introduction? Let's talk about the introduction to porn. How was it introduced into your world? Like, what was your first memory as far as you can go back?
On purpose or by mistake?
Either one.
Because by mistake, I was probably about 12 or so.
Okay.
I didn't have a TV in my room growing up. So
Yep.
over the summer, my mom would let me sleep in the living room so I could watch TV or whatever. And so I was watching some movie. It was innocent, probably like Finding Nemo or something like that, and fell asleep and woke up and they was finding something else.
Oh.
They weren't looking for Nemo no more.
They weren't
And
finding
so,
Nemo. All right.
yeah. So I was like, okay, I was thoroughly intrigued. Like, what is this? What's going on? And I knew
Yeah.
it was wrong, but couldn't look away.
Yeah.
However, I would say that by mistake. On purpose was probably around 15.
Okay.
That's when everything kind of started changing in my world. So by accident 12, on purpose 15.
So at 15, was it a tape? Was it a magazine? Was it a website? What did you stumble upon?
No, it was just HBO and Cinemax. We had the movie channels and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
Cinemax and stuff. That's when I learned that it turns over to something else after a certain hour.
Got it. Yeah. What? And that hour is that 11 or midnight? Because I still don't know. I'm 41 and I still don't know what the hour is. All I know is I wake up and it be some craziness on TV. That's all I know. At 3 a.m. Yeah.
Right. I don't know. I feel like 12 or 1 o'clock, something like that. It switch over, and within
it just switches
sprinkled in there. Yeah.
It just switches. Yeah, KB. So I'm glad you said HBO. Stick a pin in that because I want to share something that the Holy Spirit told me about premium channels. Okay. So Danielle, when was how were you introduced to porn? Like, what was your first encounter?
I believe I guess it's something about that age 12 and that crossover age and knowing the difference between right and wrong and you become even more curious.
Yeah.
But I was exposed to it because I was exposed to sexual abuse as a child. Mm-hmm. So I became more curious when I was being fondled as a young girl. I became more curious, like, I wonder what is all of that about? Like, when that was taking place, I knew that it was wrong. Yep. But the other side was like, I know that there's something else to this. And as it manifested I began to gain more of an appetite for sex. During my worldly years, the appetite never got fulfilled. So I explored watching something that would enhance the mood or even my creativity. So I began to add that to my appetite, and it became something more than what I expected.
Yeah.
So I became one with it. I became one with the porn, with the pornography, and it just became a part of my lifestyle and my being during my worldly years.
No, that's good. Danny boy, what was your first introduction? How were you introduced to it?
My first introduction was it's sad. My uncle.
What was it?
My uncle. The reason why was my uncle used to watch him, and so one day, me being bad, he had his door locked, and I went down the stairs in our basement anyway. It was like his little man cave.
Yep.
And he left the TV on, and while the TV was on, it was just the whole scene, and I was just like, wow, like I was so amazed about what I was seeing.
And how old were you?
At that moment, I had to be about, I'll say, no older than like 10.
Wow.
Because you already know my story where I was touched. So that happened at 6. And so when I saw this, I'm like, okay, wow, what is this? How I'm hearing this and I'm liking it, and you're not knowing why. You just like, okay, I just see something on the TV. And so after seeing that, every time that he leaves and go to work, I'll sneak down there when I'm home from school. I'll sneak downstairs and just press play and finish watching him. Then by the time he got back home, I stopped it and rewinded back to the place where
you used to do that too.
Oh yes. Or you want to go find out? I was watching your stuff.
You got to
rewind it back to where your parents was watching it, because
Listen, I was like, you ain't gonna catch me. You ain't gonna catch me slip. And one day it was so funny because he almost walked. He was coming in, and when he was coming down, I had to act like I was washing clothes and try to stop the.
Oh.
I just unplugged the whole DVD. I said, look, just reset.
Just start plugging.
That's that spirit. That's that spirit. I think we've all had that encounter.
Yeah. So my introduction to porn specifically was me and my mom were living with a boyfriend, and I saw these videos through a glass case. Like, you know how the VHS tapes, it used to be an image and a title on the side, like the spine of the video case. So I could see it through the glass, and I'm like, what this is? So I would come home at like 3. They didn't get home to 6. So I had 3 hours to like finagle around the house and just kind of do whatever I wanted to do. And I'm like, Danny boy, I would put the video in, look at the timestamp on it, try and rewind it back to that scene after I was done watching it so that it would look like ain't nobody touched it. And then I put it back in the glass case, and eventually it became an addiction. Now I want to address something that like at least 3 of y'all have said. I don't know about KV, but for us 3, I know there was some molestation, and we can't go further without talking about how the molestation played into that seed of lust being planted, so that when you were introduced to porn, you were kind of already sexualized a little bit to, oh, what's that? Your body responded to what you saw or what you felt. Am I correct?
That's correct.
Yeah.
So KB, were you, I know you were introduced to porn, but were you ever like sexually abused? Okay, got it. So Danielle, I want to go to you. Your story of, and we'll probably do a whole nother segment just on molestation, because to me it's a different
big thing.
It's and it's a different effect than porn. Yeah. So Danielle, are you married now?
No, I'm not. Yeah.
Okay. Amen. It's coming.
Come on, say it big.
Right.
Yeah.
She said yes. But Danielle, for you, the molestation was how far between being molested and then being introduced to porn?
It was years after. Once I was introduced to it, like I was listening to you all. I was more so being sneaky and doing things in the dark to try and connect with it even more. I would dress, I would wear revealing clothing. It was so many different things that connected with the molestation that led to that. It was just, I believe, as the years went by, as I matured in my age, that thing matured in me as well. And so it just wasn't enough to know that there was more out there. I had to seek after it.
Okay.
I was looking for something to fulfill what I was trying to see more from, not just seeing something like I had my experience with rewinding things from some family members that had their VHS tapes as well.
Yeah.
But I began to at a young age have my own stash of videos at a young age. So
Wow.
you know, the molestation was the seed. It was the seed, and I didn't know then because I was so young, and you know, I didn't know that I was like, there were so many things that I was, you know, when you're young and you're 12 and 13 and 14, you're seeking to, my mentality and my conversation was not like the average 12-year-old.
Right.
And so mine was more so like, let's get a boyfriend.
Yeah.
I want a boyfriend, like, let's go somewhere, and, you know, I want to kiss. I want to, you know, I was just curious. But,
Yeah.
you know, like I said, I had an appetite for something that I didn't know that it was going to turn into needing to see something. That's why I said to protect your eye and your ear gate, because
Hell yeah.
once it was exposed to me, like my eyes, even if I didn't have it, even if I didn't hear about it, I wanted to see it. And if I didn't see it, then I was talking about it. But it was just something that was in my heart as well. So
Yeah. Yeah. All right, Danny boy.
I would say
what year? Yeah. So how much room or how many years was between the time you were molested or started being molested to the time you discovered porn?
well, I would say that because I was touched at 6. So the honest thing is when I was touched, people know that I was touched by a man. So being touched by a man, and the first sexual act was him going down on me. So I was always used to seeing that picture. So what happened was when I got a little of age, I would because I had a tablet. So, you know, when you have a tablet, you can look up little things.
Yeah.
And so there was a porn that I saw of a man doing something with a younger boy.
With a man.
And so I would watch that.
Mhm.
I started, that was the first thing that I would start watching, because it was just, I was just curious, just like, why, what is this? What is going on? And I was just lost. I'm like, okay, this is normal. But I knew I would never allow a guy to, you know, have sex with me. Like, you know, y'all know what I'm talking about.
Right.
So I knew I wasn't about to do that. So all I was introduced was oral sex. And so it got confused. So I started watching that. Then I'm like, okay, I started getting convicted after so long. And it was just like, well, to beat this thought of keep looking at this, because a man has did this to me. Then as a kid, it was other kids at our church that was curious. So we did things. They touched me, I touched them. And it started happening. So then from there, what happened was I kept feeling so guilty that I started watching women. I watched the 2 women do it.
Okay.
And so that took my mind somewhere. Then after so long, after watching the 2 women do it, then I said, okay, well, let me see a man and a woman do it. And then add another woman. And so it just started getting bigger and bigger. And next thing you're watching a whole 10 people in one room doing something. But because I was fighting what happened to me, because I'm like, God, why did this happen to me?
Yeah.
And then you're trying to get out of porn, but it's like what you tell yourself is, well, I'm gonna look at it so I can learn moves. So when I get with that girl, I know how to do it. Because I had uncles that was I call them sexologists. I'm like, okay, that girl just left out the house. Where's she go? Who is that that you just had? And so they was just having sex a lot. And so watching that, I wanted to be that person. I'm like, oh, I want to have sex with all these girls just like they did. And it just started adding. And so that's why I started watching things, because I was like, I want to make sure I can last like these people last. So I would watch the pornos to make sure, how long did they do this, or what did they take a pill?
And we can't. And that's the problem, Danny boy. I'm glad you said that, because can't nobody last.
I can't
like
hang with them jokers.
No. And let me tell you why. Because they get to cut, they get to pause, they get to come back They get to come back 3 days later and pick up the scene where they left off. This stuff is taped in Hollywood over weeks and months, and we see a 2-minute
Just
clip,
two-
but they
yeah,
probably
yeah,
have taped it over the course of like 2 weeks. So it makes it look like, oh, this person can go an hour. No, you be dog
yeah,
tired trying to go an
yeah.
hour and a half. Lay your butt down.
And you want to tell you what happens too is that when that spirit enter, you can watch a movie and the people could be kissing in the movie and you just start
Yes,
getting around off of
it's a
watching that.
trigger. Yes,
And then
it's
you
a
be like, well,
trigger.
let me go watch the real thing. Because I just
Yes,
saw the half of it on the clothes. So let me go
yes.
watch the movie where they gonna really be doing it.
Yeah, so I'm glad you segue into how you were introduced to it through molestation, Danny Boy, because like you had the man on man. I had a female cousin who did it to me. So all of my life I was questioning, am I gay because a woman touched
Oh
me?
God.
Yeah, because for me it wasn't a man. I knew a man and a woman was natural. But my thing was a woman touched me first. And can I be honest? At some point, my body responded positively, not negatively. It didn't reject her. It started craving that. So I'm like Danny Boy. At first, I would watch the man on woman stuff. And then I would start watching the female on female stuff because that's what I was groomed into. And then I get in college and I'm like, I don't know who I am. I'm confused.
You're confused, yeah.
I can be pulled
And
every which way. And I'm asking myself, if somebody touches you of the opposite sex, are you then automatically gay? You know what I'm saying? Like, this is a real question I'm having in my head.
Me too.
Okay.
I had the same question.
Yeah. So KB, I wanna go this route. I want to talk about this. I had a process when that thought came in my mind, you should go watch porn. I had a process. Now my process was turn off the lights. It had to be dark in the room. Listen, not an inch of light. Do you hear me? I'm talking about pitch dark. It could be 2 p.m. in the afternoon. I had to close every blind. I had to close every curtain. I had to be under the covers. Do you hear me? I could not take my clothes off until I got under the covers. It had to be like pitch dark. And everything I did, I literally did with my head under the covers. Like my whole body is submerged under the covers. Like, it's so crazy. When I got married, I didn't realize my husband is like, babe, I'm hot. Like, take these covers off me. But I didn't realize what the covers represent.
Sonic in the bed.
I didn't realize what the covers represent. We so used to covering up. We so used to throwing a cover on top of stuff. We so used to getting up under the covers and hiding like God can't see under those covers that every time now I'm trying to be intimate with my husband, which God now says is legal, I'm still covering up because of the shame, because of the guilt, because of the error and the years that I've covered up. So if he like, babe, let's go to the washer and dryer. We got to get a cover. Why do we have to have a cover? Because we're so used to covering it up. I want to go to KB, man. What was your process like? Because the thought would come for me, and I had a whole ritual I had to do.
Yeah, well, for me, porn played a different role in my life. As I mentioned earlier, I wasn't, molested. I didn't have anything like that happened to me. So that wasn't the motivator for it. For me, and this actually really, I have to mention this because it's kind of important in the narrative that porn played in my life. I accepted my call into ministry, started preaching at 14.
Wow.
And preached my trial sermon at 15.
Ooh.
And when probably like a month after preaching my trial sermon, I don't know who ordered it, but like a fresh shipment of testosterone flooded my body.
Wow.
Right. So
wow.
it was almost it was overwhelming at a point, so now I'm just a horny teenage boy, so what you gonna do with that? Now I'm a preacher, and as a preacher, I have I'm very cognizant of my self-image. And as much as I want to be with the girl right now, I know who I represent.
Okay.
And because of who I represent, I said, I can't do it. I can't go and sleep with somebody. I really want to. And so porn came as a way for me to release this sexual energy without causing any shame to the name of the Lord.
Yeah.
I was like, because I've seen preachers that they ain't ashamed, like, oh yeah, they preaching and all this stuff, they in revivals and stuff, but they hopping from hotel and motel, going from house to house, all that stuff. I said, I don't want that. And so because even still, I'm like, yeah, I know I got this struggle right now, but I still want, God to be pleased. And I don't want to be the reason why somebody can't come to Christ and be free and be saved, all that stuff. So it caused me to go deeper into that rabbit hole to try
Wow.
to cover it. It allowed me to be able to be, hidden.
Yeah.
Now, that was the first front, but porn gets a little deeper hold on me because it went from me not wanting to be with a girl to me feeling like I couldn't even be with a girl if I wanted to be. So we have this
Wow.
self-image, low self-esteem that comes into play. So I'm
Yes.
like, I can't even get a relationship to even go there if I wanted to. So
Wow.
now, so not only was porn for me a way for me to release energy. Now it was also a cope for my low self-esteem, and so
Because was it because you didn't have to perform? It was just satisfying you, and you didn't have to, like, you didn't have to level up to anything. There was nobody really to compare. Or why did it affect your self-esteem when you technically you were a part of it, but you weren't?
well, porn didn't affect my self-esteem. My self-image of my weight, and just who I felt like I felt like I couldn't have a social relationship with, with somebody. I always wanted that relationship, wanted the whole girlfriend thing, growing up through
Yep.
high school and
Yep.
stuff like that. And so because I felt like I couldn't get that, and at the same token, I'm also trying to be cognizant of what I do and who I talk to and all that stuff because of who I represent. Like in high school, they knew I was a preacher. Like
Wow.
ninth grade, I came. It wasn't like I was a preacher and nobody knew it. Like, no, they have had arguments in classrooms on whether or not I was old enough to be a preacher. Like,
Wow. Wow.
like I like to that point, my senior year, the entire school knew me because I was on the radio team. And so they knew I was Keywan Preacher Man Banks. Like that was
So
my nickname throughout my whole senior year in
so
high school.
so let me ask this. Even though you were a preacher at 15 years old, you knew
Mhm.
fornication. You was like, okay, I'm not finna do that because I'm teaching the word. But
Right.
where did you reason in your mind that, yeah, I'm preaching the word, but I'm a dibble and dabble in some porn, and God gonna be okay with it?
That was the problem. I knew it wasn't okay.
Okay.
To a point. To a point, I knew it
Yeah.
wasn't okay.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I said, this is the only way that I know to be able to release this energy. This is the only way I know that ain't no girl gonna get pregnant, and nobody has to know about this.
Hmm.
But
It's a
the bigger
secret
problem
sin.
comes,
Yeah.
it's that secret sin. But
Yeah.
then here comes the next problem. Because I became desensitized and became comfortable, the enemy began to allow me to believe that, yo, this is just the way it's supposed to be. Like, this is what you do until you get married. And then
Yes.
once you get married, you don't need it no more. And so
Yes.
I was literally vacillating back and forth between this
Woo.
is wrong, I shouldn't do this, to, oh no, it's going to be okay. And then eventually I hit a point where it's like, you know what? If it's wrong, I don't want to be right. So
Wow.
I literally
Okay.
went through all three of those stages. Like I kid you not, like there was a time I'll never forget this, and this is how I knew this is actually a wake up call for me. I was actually watching a movie, and I got a phone call from one of my friends who wanted me to pray for him because he was struggling.
Wow.
He was literally struggling with porn. Now,
And you
I'm
watching
watching
it.
the movie right now. I paused the movie. This is a true story. I paused the movie
Answer the
and I'm
phone.
talking. I answer the phone. I'm talking to him, and of course, I didn't know this is what the conversation was going to be about. So I paused, just to say, "Hey, what's going on?" And he said, this is what he's dealing with, and such, and he really wants to be free, and asked me to pray for him, and I prayed for him. And guess
Uh-huh.
what? I was sincere in my prayer, like, Lord, free him, please help him out.
Uh,
After I hung up the phone, I picked up the remote and hit play. I was like,
wow.
I prayed for his deliverance, but I'm good. We're gonna go ahead and
Woo.
hit play.
Oh, that's heavy. That's
Yeah.
heavy.
That's
So
sweet.
I hit that place. Like I was so bad. And I don't know how far you want to go into this. So I'm not
Let's
trying not to say
go. We
everything
here
all in
now.
one question. However, I would say, okay, so I'm a preacher. Now, as a preacher, nobody knows I'm dealing with this, of course. So I'm like, I know this I can't really preach with this on me at, like I couldn't watch porn the day I had to preach. So
Yeah.
I was like, okay, if I knew I had to preach on Sunday,
You
okay,
can't watch
Friday
it
was
that
the
day.
last day. I
Yeah.
fasted on
You fast.
Saturday.
You fasted.
I
Yes.
would fast on Saturday, get
Yes.
ready, and I would preach on Sunday, and then I was back at it on Monday. I
Yeah.
was that messed up. Like I was that
I
far
so
gone, but
no, I'm
uh,
glad you said that because literally we would fast when I used to go to Greater Grace, and we would fast every Wednesday from midnight to 4. And I knew on Wednesday, okay, I can't watch it because I'm fasting. Literally, like God don't care nothing about your little funky fast on Wednesday. When Tuesday and Thursday, you back to watching porn. Come on now. But on Wednesday, I would be like giving honor to God. I'm giving God this Wednesday. I'm dedicating my life. I'm turning down my plate, and I'm not gonna watch porn. God, I'm so serious about you. And God was like, yeah, you could have kept all them fasts because the day before and the day after, yeah, no. Let's jump to Danielle. What was your process like? The thought comes, and what is your process like?
Oh my goodness. My experience was different because I experienced like sexual abuse from my stepfather at the time. So he would keep me quiet by buying me material things. So it was like an on and off switch to me when I would, when I knew that I was, getting ready to be promiscuous, I would turn that switch on and I would like turn into a totally different person. So that's the thing, and how it has a negative effect in your life, because that spirit, it's a mimicking spirit as well. I was listening to you say you were questioning about certain things. If that spirit wanted someone to be a homosexual, a lesbian, whatever that spirit wanted you to be is what you will be. It's a mimicking spirit. And I believe it's like it mutates itself.
Yes.
And when it was like showtime, like I said, my stepfather, he would buy me material things, and that's what kept me quiet. So that was my trigger. That was what triggered when I knew that I was about to watch porn. It's like, okay, I know that I'm about to get something in return for it. I'm only with this dude. It's only going to be for a moment. So let's flip the switch. And so I turned into that person, and I was trying to mimic just to make that individual happy, because I knew that it was only momentarily, but just to try to make that individual happy for that moment, because we all know that regardless of like you said earlier, that appetite can never be satisfied. So I knew that it was an on and off switch. It was a momentary pleasure. It was something that was just like, okay, turn it on, prepare yourself, get ready. It's about to go down. And then afterwards, you're going to turn it off. And it was more so, it wasn't just the addiction, but it became a lifestyle. Like I said, I became whoever I needed to be in that moment with who I was being promiscuous with at that time. So that thing was like each one of them, like, and just moving forward, thinking about that, like each one of them, there was never a time that I was ever really comfortable. I was never really comfortable because afterwards, when they left, it was still a void. When I left, there was still something missing. And like I said, it was just a momentary thing for me. It was like give and take. So I became null and void as far as what I expected and what I expected and what was expected of me. So I was numb as well. And my thing was, if you don't use your feelings, then they won't get hurt. I actually, a couple of years ago, somewhat caught myself saying that. And my male friend, he asked me, he said, so why aren't you married? And I'm like, I guess because I never use my feelings. You don't use your feelings, they'll never get hurt. And he was like, Danielle, well, how are you going to fall in love with somebody? How are you going to this, that, and other? And I said, I'm going to have to take that into consideration, because I wasn't going to have this type of conversation with him. But when he said that, I knew where that root came from so much, just the different pain and different things that I had experienced during those momentary pleasures, during those momentary times that I share with the individual, that I don't even, to be honest, I was never satisfied. Like I couldn't be satisfied. And I I knew when my time was up, not only because I was starting to take my walk with Christ. I went to church, but I really wasn't into church like how, others have grew up and, but when I knew that season was up, I had an out of body experience, and it was a demonic spirit, and this thing did to me what I did to what I experienced sexually, and what but it was just very demonic, and it put the fear of God in me, and that I've never seen anything like that ever in all my years, and I was done. And after that, the Lord showed me, after about a year or so of me becoming abstinent and, waiting until marriage, the Lord showed me, he said, I had to do that because if it wouldn't have happened, your husband wouldn't have been able to satisfy you. Like, I couldn't be satisfied. And so I'm just grateful because, like I said, out of those years of me being promiscuous, like, it was an on and off switch. It was null and void. It was nothing to me to experience anything like that.
But I feel like too, subliminally, without even knowing it, and I'm glad you're saying that because I know you're single, and I say this respectfully, there are a lot of women who want a husband and they're praying and asking God for a husband. And let me just be very transparent. When I got married, I wasn't ready to be a wife. I was pregnant with twins. It's so many women saying, I'm ready to be a wife. God, where's my husband? Where's my husband? But if you have not gone back into the depths and the roots of your 7-year-old little girl and that 6-year-old little girl that was molested and that 5-year-old little girl that was either molested by her daddy, rejected by her daddy, rejected by her mama, you carrying all that baggage into a marriage and you will jack it up. I'm telling you what I know. Because the first 10 years was hell, and it wasn't hell because of my husband. It was because I was so jacked up.
And so I work at a salon. I do nails as well. And I am around so many women that believe that sex is going to keep a man. Many women that have experienced so many sexual encounters that they can't be satisfied. But a lot of this, like I said, the root of it is because sex was created for marriage. And when it's taken out of its original intent, then it's toxic anyway. And you have to meet people where they're at. So they don't sit in my chair and I'm like, oh, the Lord, you're going straight to hell. The Lord, another. I just listen to them. And once we create a lot of my guests, we have a safe place. And so we talk, but a lot of them that come and go, wedding parties, people spending over $100,000 to be married. And this is not something that God ordained. And they'll come in here maybe a year or two later, like, Danielle, you don't remember the wedding party that we had? Oh yeah, we're divorced and this, that, and other. And so it's just by me dealing with so many women, I truly see a lot, but just coming from where I came from, I was once like them. And it not only took for me to be delivered, but there was even a process after I was delivered, because even though you can go through deliverance, there's still residue in you.
Yes.
So you can see something, you can watch something, and it can trigger. And if you're not bold, if you don't stand for this thing, you can easily go back to that thing. So I'm listening.
No. I was just going to say, I'm glad you said you were talking about the women who come in and they spend $100,000 on the wedding day. That wedding might be an hour or two max. Y'all, my wedding was 29 minutes. When I tell you I don't remember half of it, because the pastor was in and out praying for us and he was on to his next assignment. 29 minutes is what it took for me to get down that aisle. And it takes a lifetime to build a marriage, and it takes a lifetime for some people to get divorced and break free from everything that they had to endure in that marriage. But my point is, a lot of people spend money on the day, and we don't spend money investing in the marriage. We don't spend money investing in counseling. Hello, somebody. Because the Black community is this stigma of, well, you crazy, you need to get help, and you cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, and we put all these nasty tags on people. All of us are listen, in the midst of COVID, everybody need counseling. Everybody and their mama need counseling. If you think you need counseling, you probably need counseling, because it's affecting you in ways you don't even know yet. If for no other reason, you have been through a whole international pandemic, you need to go get counseling. But because we shun people who go get counseling,
Yeah.
I'll say my marriage didn't change until I did the individual work. It had nothing to do with my husband. My husband, he wasn't sexually abused. I was. So even though, yes, we're one, I now have to go do my individual work that I never did. And that's the part that a lot of people don't want to do. They say, we need marital counseling. They come to me and my husband all the time. And I'm like, no, sis, you don't need marital counseling. You need individual counseling. And you need to go get help for you. This ain't had nothing to do with him. That your daddy left you when you was 7. And now you talking about, I'm ready to divorce my husband. It has nothing to do with him. Nothing to do with him. All right. I'm gonna jump to Danny Boy, Danielle. I'll be right back.
Okay.
All right, Danny Boy, different question. What did the enemy tell you? Like, what would he tell you to validate, like, that this is cool? This is like, he would tell me, this is just your cross that you got to bear. This is just your thorn in your side. Like, you always gonna have this. This your sidekick. It ain't going nowhere. You're gonna have this. Everybody got something that God just ain't gonna deliver them from. That's what the enemy would tell me. What did God tell you, Danny?
Get ready. Said,
shut up. That is not what he told
learn today. You go learn today. Say no. That was Bishop Jakes.
Right.
Mine, I would say, it was a crazy thing because I looked at it as I'm not having sex with anyone. I'm by myself. So how can I go to hell for doing something to myself? One thing I knew something was demonic because I was sitting here and as I was listening to them when they said how they got into it, it got to me because I sat here spiritually and started thinking. I said, God, how did I get to this place? And this place, hold on one second. I'm so sorry. I said, God, how did I get to this place? And this place was so demanding.
Yes.
It was so demanding. It was come on, sweetie. How did I get to this place? And this place is your food. You can put it right. Thank you. Take care.
Yeah, we were calling you.
Oh, okay. God bless you. How did I get to this place? And
Girl,
I don't know. It's like when you're sitting there.
God bless you. That's why you don't do no Zoom with Danny Boy. Who are you talking to?
That was a
delivery food and stuff.
Go back in the closet.
Go back into the closet, sir.
So people be laughing. They be like, between you and Vicky Winans, y'all two are some of the craziest people. I said, and I'm like, who am I in the background talking to? Her. Okay, so the thing is, I was sitting there wondering, okay, why is it that I'm so for me, I don't know, everybody had their thing. Some people go for the lotion or they y'all got your toys, whatever. My thing was I would crawl on the floor.
What?
I don't know what. Let me tell you, it was me rubbing against the floor that helped me. I would visualize what was going on and I rub against the floor.
Like humping against the floor?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I looked at it and when I was thinking, I said, I don't know if it was because I was dry humping when we was kids, so you play a house, so you dry humping with a little girl. So I don't know where that spirit, but then God showed me this recently. He said, sometimes we're dealing with snake spirits on mistake.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because this happened to me at 6, 7. So how would I know that the spirit of a snake has attacked me as a kid?
Yeah.
Because of what someone else tried to implant in me.
What's the spirit of the snake? Make it plain.
Babe, listen here. I said I said I went to school. I ain't say I graduated. But,
okay, all right.
No, but if you look at that snake, it's that. If you look at it, what does a snake do? It slides.
A bacteria, yeah.
It's rub. It's something about the texture. When they rub, they know what parts to go into. Their skin is tough enough to slither through certain things. So when I sit here and thought about it, I say I was rubbing. It was weird. I don't understand why that I was not the one. Like everybody else be like, man, I'm about to go in there, get my lotion, do my thing. I couldn't do it. I was like, no, sorry, I don't want my hands to sorry.
You like my hands is not gonna be dirty.
No, I don't want it. I don't want it.
No.
But what got to me, and I'm wondering, I'm like, because let me tell you, I cried, and I'm gonna say this because some people, everybody know I'm probably one of the rawest people, and I don't care what people think about me.
Come on.
There's times that a porno may still jump in my mind.
Yeah,
I'm just
the
gonna be honest.
images.
There's
The
times
images are there.
that I'll be like, you know what I'm telling you, I especially don't have me going somewhere to minister or to preach. Oh, that devil will come right after you.
Wow.
As soon as you get done, your mind is still like, oh my God, I just need to release. And you be like, where did that just come from? And sometimes
but here's the thing with that, Danny. The word is clear. The weapons will form, but they won't prosper. So it's not that God is getting ready to take away every fiery dart and thought that the enemy throws at you, because the thoughts are still going to come. The strength and the power comes in the keeping power of the Holy Ghost to now you don't act upon that thought and you go on and do something more productive, because you know ain't nobody got time for that.
Yes, and people don't understand that. And you want to say, I thought when I was going through those seasons, I said, God, how can I hear from you? Because the same man that's watching the porn was the same man God would tell somebody else to get out of something. And I got to the point where I was so confused because I said, God, I don't want to be that hypocrite that's out here preaching. And I'm like, God, you telling me real words? I'm like, yeah, I know you telling me a real word. Now you want me to prophesy to somebody. And I'm like, God, am I good enough? You know, I started dealing with depression with it because I was feeling so bad about what I was doing. I was beating myself up. And I was like, God, what happened? And he said, you have to be okay to know that it wasn't your fault. I blamed everything on me.
Right. Right.
And so that now you're dealing with a depression. So now that spirit is taking you somewhere totally different. And so what got me to walk towards my deliverance, because like I say, you know, there's some days that the enemy still comes. There's some days that he'll still be like, listen, go call Sister Juicy. Or it could just be a phone conversation.
Right.
So it could jump from watching porn to, okay, I ain't gonna watch porn today, but I'm talking to a girl that's telling me how she's touching stuff. Right. So now it's an ear porn. It's not a visual porn, but
ear gates and eye gates. Ear gates and eye gates. Yeah.
And so it's just a whole deliverance thing, because what my issue was is I'm fighting against a spirit with another spirit just to win.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm fighting the homosexual porn to go with another porn, because I said, well, I know this one, woman and man, is right. So let me fight to watch this one so that I won't watch that one. Then and you just start connecting a dot and be like, okay, now you're in a whole nother issue because I try to cover it up with another issue.
Right. But so here's the thing, Danny. I like the fact that you said the enemy would tell you, well, I'm not having sex with anybody else. And here's how God broke it down to me. It is he that has made us and not we ourselves, which means I am not the creator of this body, which means it doesn't belong to me. It belongs to God. So he said you literally are prostituting yourself when you either watch pornography or you masturbate, because your body does not belong to you. Until you get married, your body is the temple of the Holy Spirit. That's where he lives and dwells. That's his house. It's not your house, it's his house.
Yes.
So if it's God's house, would you do this in God's house? Like, would you sit in the middle of the altar and watch porn at your church? Right,
now,
exactly.
Now, hold on. I got to be honest. You want my honesty? I've watched porn in church before.
I was about to say,
I
had sex in church before.
But would you do it? Here's the thing. Would you do it on
now? Would I do it now?
In front of people, on display in front of people. not hidden, because even though you were in the church, you were probably still to an extent hidden.
Yeah. I was on the balcony.
Okay, well, I'm talking about on the altar with people watching.
No.
Exactly. No. So that's how God, because for a minute I was struggling with, well, God, is it sin? Is it an iniquity? Is it just not a good idea? He said to me, number one, you always got to do it in the dark. You always got to close the blinds. You always got to do it under the covers. Listen, pulling back the covers is probably going to be a book. I'm telling y'all right now.
Hush your mouth.
Listen,
you better hush your mouth.
Because I'm so sick of the enemy pulling back. We pulling back the covers on all these secret sins. For real. Let's just pull back the covers. The sheets, the covers, take all that stuff off the bed. But again, when God said to me, your body is not even your own, because I'm like, well, I'm not hurting nobody. It's my body. He like, no, you belong to me. And now that I'm married, guess what? My body belongs to my spouse. So even my own body now is not mine. It still ain't mine. Now it belongs to God and my spouse. So I have to submit to now my spouse and God. So even watching the porn and I'm married, I'm replacing my husband and I'm replacing God. And they both looking like, well, what you need me for? Because you
Yeah.
got to handle. You got to handle. I want to go to Lady Shipman, who was able to jump on. Unmute yourself. Tell us who you are and tell us your introduction to porn, like how you were introduced to it, if it was you or your spouse or what.
All right, so I am Lady Shipman. I am the body life pastor at Walk in the Spirit. My husband is my pastor.
Yes.
My introduction to porn would have been my because porn and masturbation would be separate from me. My introduction to masturbation would be my now husband, but we weren't married then.
Okay.
And then porn would be my ex-husband. You did. We was on the phone talking. You said, I don't know how to please you if you don't know how to please yourself. Yeah. Uh-huh. Hello.
Wow.
I think 16.
You gotta be 16.
16. Okay, I was
16
16.
years old.
I was 16.
Okay.
So that's
So how were you introduced to porn? Was it somebody invited you to watch a video? You stumbled upon a video, you was watching HBO, like what?
well, no, porn. So porn, my ex-husband, because when I got with him, I was probably 18. That's all he did. He lived for porn. So it was like, hey, let's watch this movie.
Okay.
I mean, I didn't need porn to masturbate when I was younger. It was just,
Right.
I thought dirty enough, I guess.
Right.
So, and I think the reason it was easy for me to think real dirty was because I had already been raped twice. So,
Wow. At what ages were you raped?
Let me see, 13, maybe 13 and 14. 13.
Wow.
It wasn't me.
Not the pastor.
I
We know it
cannot.
wasn't you. Jesus.
But yeah, so I thought nasty enough. I thought that it was okay. And so I masturbated. Porn though was like something totally different because it was like an addiction for my ex-husband. To the point where every device we had in our house had like thousands of porns, like just
Wow.
my younger son, we literally would have to lock everything up because he was such a smart kid that
Yes.
go to the computer, he would unlock stuff, and then we will be looking for him, and he in a room watching porn because that's all that's over the Xbox. It's all on the computer. It was everywhere. So, that was my introduction to it, though. My ex-husband, he wanted to watch them together all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. So there was a question of, and people have asked me and my husband this, and this is the stance that I have. People have asked, I'm glad you brought it up like that. People have asked what a married couple does in their bedroom. People, we always say, well, the bed is undefiled. What they do in their bedroom, that's on them. That's between them two people and God. And people will come to us and they'll ask, well, my spouse wants to introduce porn into the bedroom. I'm not okay with that. Or I don't know how to feel about that. And they're married. Okay, they're married. But again, it goes back to me asking Danny Boy, would you stand in the middle of KB Banks and his wife's bedroom and watch them have sex? That's the equivalent of watching porn on TV. If you wouldn't stand in somebody's bedroom and watch them have sex, when you watch a screen, more times than not, you're watching somebody that's been a part of human trafficking, or they've been raped or molested. And these are girls, younger girls or boys that have been forced to do this, to perform for TV. And you don't know what you're watching. So when I got to the level of maturity where God was showing me how the stuff is produced, why it's produced, and how it becomes a gate and a wall to being intimate with my husband, to where now my husband got to break down all these walls and he got to go through all these demons just to get to the real me, because he's got to get past the molestation. He got to get past the pornography. He got to get past the masturbation to even get to the authentic me, y'all. And that's not fair. That's not fair. So when you introduce porn into the bedroom as a married couple, you might as well bring another couple into your bedroom and just have at it, because that's what you're doing. You're on mute. You're on mute, Lady Ship.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
I was saying I agree as it relates to masturbation, like with toys, especially because I don't feel like a human being can compete with that. Like
You can't compete.
It's no competition. Like, I mean, hands down, if you got a bullet, 2 to 3 minutes, you're good. A toy, maybe
Yep.
5 minutes, but there is no real like competition or comparison. So, I mean, that.
Yeah. So my question, I'll go back to KV. My question, KV, is in your deliverance process, because I know what the final straw was for me. The final straw was for me when I got married. And let me say this, if you're not married right now, marriage will become a mirror. I know Danny's not married, Danielle's not married, but marriage.
Oh, I'm married.
You, sir, marriage will become a mirror. Let me tell you, you will be looking at it, will bring up everything. It's like you are being refined and purified. Everything that's lying dormant, every level of impurity is about to rise to the top. If you got a nasty attitude, if you got unforgiveness, molestation issues, everything you ain't never dealt with is about to show up probably in your first year of marriage, because marriage just becomes a mirror. So I want to go to KV because I know he's newly married. They've only been married for 1 year. And I want to hear how I want to hear how it affected your marriage, because you went into it. Well, y'all have a unique situation. I'm gonna let you tell the story. But y'all went into it. Who was the virgin? Who was the virgin when y'all went into the marriage?
She was.
She was. Okay. All right. So how did it negatively affect your marriage, or has it? Did you get totally free from it before you went into it?
Nope. No, I wasn't. But that's what actually did it for me. But it wasn't the way that I believed it would happen. So for me, it was that okay, I'm sorry. I had like two different thoughts. I was trying to figure out which avenue I was going to take with this. So so the deliverance process for me, because as you see, I've been doing this consistently for years and just believing that, okay, once I get married, I won't need it anymore.
Yeah.
But the problem was I'd built this habit that porn became the only thing that accepted me.
Yes.
It was an acceptance for me. Because remember, I told you porn for me wasn't me masking something. Well, I guess in a sense it was. However, for everybody else's story, I didn't have that same type of relationship with porn. For me, it was a pick me up. It was when I was having a bad day. It was when I was having a good day. It was like it was there, and
celebration.
It was. I fell in love with porn, and when I say I fell, it was like I knew I could be accepted by it, even to the point. Tanisha, you ain't even ready for this one. To the point that there was a point once I got introduced to the internet, because mind you, before it was just HBO and Cinemax and stuff.
Yeah.
Once I got introduced to the internet, that was a whole different level of porn. And so to the point that Twitter After Dark, I was running my own page on Twitter After Dark, sharing and resharing pictures and videos and content and stuff. So now it went from me just watching it to now me promoting it. And so there was a lot of levels to really get free from it. And that process, the Lord really began to deal with me on like, yo, I don't know. I started seeing some videos. People would send me videos of like story behind, the pornography industry, and it's like the heart of like, man, this is really what I'm watching and what's actually happening behind the scenes. And I ain't gonna lie, it didn't happen instantly. It wasn't like I watched it like I'm good.
It's a process.
I may have stopped for a little bit. I was like, but they chose this. So it's a whole bunch of stuff. I've said it. I was like, I don't know why they chose. I said, Lord, help them, but I don't know why they do it. I can't stop. Nonetheless, but this is what happened. This is what happened for me. So then once I did get married, and I had, for porn, I put some time between me and porn, even getting married. And so now I'm coming in, I'm married, and I'm like, all right, so now I have all of these expectations, because mind you, for 12, 13, 14 years, however long it was, I've been conditioning myself whenever I felt this, I knew I could go somewhere and be able to get it. However, now I
Yeah.
get married, and now once I want to go and become intimate, I'm not
Right.
able to just have that readily available and accessible like I wanted to. And so I learned that, hey, this is a human being.
Yes.
And as a human being, they're not just, she's not just going to be ready whenever I want to. So
No,
like,
you gotta warm that oven up, KB.
right.
You gotta warm that
Right.
oven up.
So now, but here's the thing though. The problem was growing up with my relationship with porn, I equated porn with acceptance. So now I am being denied something that I feel like I'm supposed to be having.
From
So
your
I'm
wife.
feeling rejected. Exactly. So now
Mhm.
it's coming back to a feeling of rejection of like, yo, I don't like this. And so now porn was trying to tap at my door again, saying, hey, you remember me? I ain't gonna do that to you.
Woo!
Like I've always accepted you.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna do that. And so now I'm placing these false expectations on my wife additionally, because now I wanted her to do this, I want her to do that, and all this other stuff. And it's like, that's not the reality. But here is the God honest truth. The love that I have for my wife
Yeah.
outweighed the love I had for porn.
There you
That's
go.
And when
good.
I
That's good.
realized that
Mm.
if I don't stop, I will never allow her to be the authentic version of who she is.
Yeah.
And
That's good.
the fight no longer became about me getting free for my sake. It was me getting free for her sake.
And for
so the fight was
generations to
hard.
come. And for
Exactly.
generations to come, you're gonna have seed. You're gonna have children. You
Mhm.
don't think the enemy gonna come against your children with that same spirit? Because he
Exactly.
likes to skip a generation or two and then he try to reintroduce it like it's new. Because we don't
Mhm.
talk about it. Ain't nobody talking about it. So when you have your kids, like I've talked to my sons and I've told them, look, this is what we've overcome. So you don't have to go through it. If they ask me
Yeah.
questions, I flat out tell them. I flat out tell them, my kids, they can ask me whatever. Because I grew up in a house where it was like children are to be seen, not heard. So we
Mhm.
couldn't say nothing. We couldn't ask an adult questions. We couldn't say, why are you sleeping around with me and you ain't never been married, but we go to church every Sunday. Now I would have got
Right.
popped in the mouth saying that. But in the back of my head, I'm like, this ain't God at all. Whatever this
Right.
is, this ain't God. I know that. Yeah.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
I definitely
So,
want to know how it affected your marriage because I know y'all have only been married a year. But that's real. Like even in a year, you had to like, look, if I'm gonna save my marriage, if this gonna work, this ain't fair to Tiff. I gotta do something different.
and then here's actually what I discovered too. The more time that was placed between me and porn, the more beautiful my wife became.
Mm,
It was interesting, man. Like I've always found my wife to be beautiful, but it wasn't even just beauty on just a physical attraction. It was
yes,
like it felt as if I was blinded by what was in front of me. And
yes,
so like I got to appreciate her and see her just in different lights and just and other things that she's doing, and like, wow, I'm more appreciative of what I have now than what I thought, I was supposed to be getting because of the expectations I came into marriage with.
yes.
So
Oh,
it was like
listen,
the whole script flipped for me.
yeah. Listen, my husband, he's a wonder in my soul, all deep down. You hear me? Listen, I'm grateful. I see him totally different. When you get all those planks and all that stuff and all those impurities out,
Hmm.
it's like you can love them at a greater level of intimacy.
Yeah.
And I remember when I came into my marriage, the whole rejection issue showed up because I don't know my father, so rejected from the womb. And he said, for you, you equate sex to love. And I remember going around high school and college just really desiring sex. But y'all, what I really wanted was love. But for me, if you didn't have sex with me, you didn't love me. And so now, like KB said, he ain't no freaking robot. It's one of them things like if he tired, he gotta work, he done work 12 hours, ain't nothing going down tonight. Good night. He hit that pillow, he's snoring. That don't make him less than a man. That don't make him less than a husband. He's tired. We're human. These bodies get tired. But when you've watched porn, of course, you want this person to perform on cue, like it's a show, and it's not. It's just not, and that's not fair. But I will never forget the day God said to me, when you love me enough, you'll let it go. You'll forsake everything else. If I tell you to let it go, you'll let it go and you won't have a problem with it. It's not that God wasn't telling me that I didn't love him. He said, you don't love me enough. You don't love me deeply enough. You don't know me intimately enough to let it go. Because if you listen to that voice more than you listen to my voice, now porn has now became your God. I'm no longer your God because today you listening to porn. You're not listening to me. You're not even battling with it. You done gave into it like, it is what it is, God. Okay, well, be over there till you get ready. Yeah. So when people say, oh, I'm free indeed, and they singing and they clapping and praise team and all dressed up and baked up, and you ain't free. You not free.
Nope.
Bruh, you not free. Because you going home to that same bondage after you done sang and sweated and ran around the church. You're not free. So Danielle, what was your deliverance part? What was your breaking point? Deliverance. What came to a head for you to say, I gotta stop this? And you ain't even married. So what came to you to say stop?
You know what? I'm gonna just be honest. Like when it happened, I really wasn't ready. Like I didn't think that it was my time yet. But there was such a conviction that I had no control over it. And so it's funny because I'm like, wow, the Lord loves me that much that he does not even allow me. I don't have any control over it. I tried to change this thing, okay? This was not a part of my plan in life. It was nowhere on my list. Yeah. And so I call it the triple C: conviction, correction, change. And so I see it if it was totally opposite. I think about if I didn't have any conviction, if I wasn't corrected, if my life, if nothing changed, then I think about where I would be. You know, there are so many things that come along with that lifestyle, not only just, you know, trying to pleasure a pleasure that can never be pleasured. Yeah. And there you have diseases, children out of wedlock. And it also caused mental, physical, spiritual. It's so many things that come with that I look at myself now and I say that I am now outside looking in something that I was once inside looking out of. Yeah. I was once in that bondage and looking out at others like, well, you don't understand my story, or this is just who I am. This is just how it goes. Like, there's nothing wrong with it. But now I see everything that was wrong with it and that came along with having that type of appetite. Especially when something like that has that much control over you, that it controls your livelihood, it controls your relationship, it controls your feelings and emotions. And you said this word that I never would have experienced had I not been delivered from pornography or just being sexually promiscuous. Intimacy. Yes. I tell my girlfriends and people that I know that it's this thing called intimacy that does not involve being penetrated by a man or whatever sex you choose. Yeah, because there are different levels to it. It goes from that appetite not being satisfied to you changing. So that was how the Lord showed it to me. He showed it to me as far as if there was not any conviction or correction or change, then it would change my appetite. And I probably would have been with the woman. I probably would have had an appetite for some other things. That's why you hear about bestiality and all different types of stuff. Yes. Because not just pornography, but that spirit itself. That spirit, it likes to have control. It likes to manipulate. It likes to do everything outside of the will of God. And so though once God delivered me from that, I was done. I was done because I experienced this unconditional love that I've never had for myself because I used sex for so many years that I still didn't get what I wanted. So I said to myself, I gotta try this thing. I gotta do this. I don't know what's gonna come from this, but if God loves me that much that he's convicted me that I don't have an appetite for it, then I want this thing. Yeah. And so once I begin to take this walk, I have a level of I have an intimacy with Christ that I can't even explain, that I don't want to. I wouldn't change any of this for the world. And I believe I've had many different, I've experienced many different places in the world and being
Amen.
of the world. So
Amen.
this here, I would give my life for this. I gave my life outside of this, and I was not satisfied. I don't have the peace and the joy and the happiness and the wholeness within.
That we have now.
And,
Yeah.
so I wouldn't change it for the world.
Amen. So I want to jump to Lady Shipman. I don't know if she can come on screen or not. I think her. There she is. All right. So we are getting ready to wrap up. I want to start with Lady Shipman. Here's my final question, and then I will have you all go around and offer words of encouragement to somebody who may be watching this and saying, you know what, I don't think there's nothing wrong with porn, like I'm good. Lady Ship, what type of ramifications, what type of parameters, what type of borders, what type of I don't want to say walls, but what type of things do you all have in place as a couple and as an individual to block the entrance of the spirit of porn or lust in general? What type of things do you put in place?
I think we are very.
Oh man, you breaking up. You breaking up.
Hold on.
Okay.
What about now?
Yeah, you good.
Okay. I said I think we are probably just different, period. I always say that, but I think it is our communication, like the dynamics of our relationship. When there is something lacking, missing, it doesn't matter. We have the ability to be transparent with one another and talk. Like, I don't care, good sex, bad sex, I didn't like it, sex, whatever. We talk to one another. So we make sure that we are always forthcoming with one another and open and honest about what we need and where we are. And I think that is probably what a lot of people lack, is that ability to just be honest and transparent about what you need and where you are. So if I say, hey, so that didn't work, this is what I need, we're going to figure it out. It's not going to be like, well, girl, you better go turn on the video. You know what I'm saying? We communicate about, what is needed, what we need from each other, how we fix it, how we figure it out, versus leaving it up to you to go figure it out on your own. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna get up and pretend I was happy if I'm not.
Right. So here's where I am. Here's where God has me. And I'll never forget the day God specifically said to me, where I'm taking you, and I don't even know the totality of where he's taking me, but where I'm taking you, you can't take that. People will uncover it. They will expose it. You will be in somebody's pulpit preaching and delivering and healing women, and they will call you a farce because you've been hiding this addiction to porn. So you better start teaching about it and talking about it before you get elevated, because you can't take it with you. And so one of the things God told me is, you can't have premium channels on cable. You can't have Cinemax, Showtime, HBO, even though we got Netflix, even though we got Hulu and all the rest of that. You got to be real strategic about going to Netflix and Hulu and finding those things. Like, you have to purposely turn it on as opposed to HBO. If you just leave it on all night, it's going to come up on the screen at like 2, 3 a.m. You're going to wake up to it.
But I think part of the whole, like, pornography and all that stuff is attached to addiction. So normally that is, you're trying to feel something, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're addicted to, because you can be addicted. I feel like I'd be addicted to like unsweetened iced tea, because then I binge on Diet Pepsi, so when you have that spirit of addiction, even beyond porn, so you can stop watching porn, but you won't masturbate and just think about all the stuff that was on the porn, you know what I'm saying? So it's about the deliverance of the addiction part of it, or even just having an addictive, personality. Like a person that's just always, you addicted to everything. Why you can't do drugs? Because you'll be addicted, So dealing with that addiction and what's drawing you to that is what allows us to get to the root, though.
Yeah. So another thing I want to say is, for me and my husband, I'll tell him, babe, I can't watch Empire. Or babe, I can't watch certain shows. Like, if they kiss, I think it was Danny Boy, he fell off, but he was saying, if somebody kisses, it's a trigger for me. Like, I can't watch sex scenes in a movie or on a TV show, and Fox is just raw with it. Like, Empire is real raw to just be regular TV. Like, they just don't care. and I literally cannot watch it because it's a trigger for me. And I'll be like, babe, change the channel. And he like, well, it ain't that deep. And I'm like, yeah, for me, it's that deep. Like, don't let the thought sit. Don't let me sit here and have to watch a whole scene. And then we just going to bed and you rolling over and you sleep. Like, hello. Like, I could be laying right next to him and the thought will come. And it has nothing to do with him and everything to do with the spirit of addiction and lust that the enemy keeps trying to continuously put back on me. So for me, I used to have videos. I used to have the DVDs, the VHSs. I had to bag all them up in a black trash bag and go drop them off to my uncle. Now, I didn't want him to be addicted to it either, but I was like, listen, it's me or you, bro. I know you watch these. Here you go, because they can't be in my house.
And I couldn't even give mine to anybody. I had to throw it away because I said I didn't want to give anyone else my problem, so I had to take it somewhere far.
Yeah. But I know for me, I can't have access to certain stuff. And I am the accountability partner for so many women, a couple of women that have access to Covenant Eyes. They give me access to their Covenant Eyes app. They come to me and say, I'm struggling with this week, yada, yada, yada. And again, I go back to when you love God enough, when you love his promises enough, when you love his commandments enough, when you love his promises and his plans for your life enough, you like this 2 minutes or this 5 minutes, maybe 10, ain't worth me throwing my destiny away because I'm being disobedient to the word of God. And I'm now breaking covenant with God under the covers again, just to get off. And as a matter of fact, when I would do it, it's very draining for me. I would become tired and fatigued, and I would literally have to lay down and go to sleep. And I would wake up feeling drunk, like I was just in a trance. Like I would get dizzy and I would get headaches. Like my body physically responded to it negatively immediately afterwards. So KB, what parameters do you have in place? What type of borders do you have in place now not to fall back into the porn?
You know, being very honest, I'm just at a place where I've been in a place where I'm not even thinking about it.
Okay.
Where it's not even a desire in my appetite,
Okay.
and so, but outside of that, what I have learned is that in me getting closer in my relationship with
Yeah.
God and with my wife, that desire it pacifies, it
Yeah.
keeps being suppressed. And so
Yeah.
I'm learning, I guess that's also kind of ties in with the word of encouragement, is that even throughout the years, even single, when I would be in that position where I was sold out for God, and I was really on my face in prayer, really on my face in worship and staying before the presence of God, I would learn that it would become easier to fight those urges and fight that desire to go down that avenue, and so there has to be a replacement. One of my brothers, I remember, I was talking, went to him, confided in him, and he talked about creating another outlet, a positive one, more creative one. And so, for me, it was music, and so
Wow.
there would be points where one of the things that I would do to, if I didn't want to go down that avenue and watch something, I would just go piano and just start practicing.
Okay.
And I would literally play for hours until back of my hands were red. I was
Oof.
tired, and I would go to sleep.
That's your outlet. That's your
that
outlet.
that became my outlet.
Yeah.
Hence why now I'm a music teacher. I've been
Well,
I sit here all day, right?
I
So
totally get that because I'm like, I got too many books to write. I can't be back here just backing off fully nilly for
Exactly.
nothing. God, I got too many assignments. Yeah, no.
yeah, you have to really look at where you're spending that energy.
Yes.
And then also targeting the root. As I told you, with pornography, it was tied to another problem
Yes.
of acceptance and low
Yes.
self-esteem, and trying, that was where it came from with me. And so
Yeah.
really, in dealing with it, it's more than just having those parental codes, and yes, take those precautions because you know what you can handle. Can't nobody
Yeah.
tell you what's necessary for you. You know what's
Yeah.
necessary for you. So if that's what you have to do, and I know there's some things like I can't watch that, shouldn't look at that, etc.
Yeah.
But you you have to learn how to create that different outlet, create that different source. You have to learn how to say, okay, I'm not going to devote all of my attention down this avenue. I'm not going there. I know this, if I know this is a trigger, then I'm not going to do that. But however, you got to go to the root. That's what I was trying to
That's
get to.
right.
That was whole circle to say, get back to this point.
Get
You
to the
got to
root.
deal
Get to
with
the
the root. Because if you don't deal with the root, it doesn't matter what code you put on, you still got an internet connection. You
Yep.
know, you can see it whenever you want to. So when your flesh gets weak and you haven't dealt with that issue,
Yeah.
you're gonna go there. You know, if it's on that bad day, you need to learn what to do differently on a bad day than to go down that, go and start watching a porno.
Or on a good
So
day.
deal or on a good day. As I
Yeah.
said, it's like cereal. Cereal. You love cereal. Cereal will pick you up when you're feeling bad.
I
Cereal will
don't.
pick you up when Danielle.
I'm like chicken, maybe not
Danielle, come
cereal.
on. Cereal. Okay,
Yeah.
whatever. All right, they in the comments. They know about cereal. Cereal is good. All right.
All right,
But
so
you
KB,
gotta,
stick to the root. I mean, you saying pull it up by the root is what you're saying.
yes,
Number one.
is that
All
you
right.
have
So
you got to deal with the root problem.
so that root for you was acceptance. That root for me was rejection. And I think they kind of go hand in hand, but find out what the root is, abandonment, issues, whatever it is that's drawing you to porn as your crutch, if you will. So yeah. All right,
Mhm.
Danielle, words of encouragement. Somebody's watching, they're dealing with porn. They may be trying to break free from it. They may not be. What do you tell them?
I would say to stick to purpose. Once again, I believe that I think that anything that's demonically influenced or it's taken out of its original intent, it's basically, I believe, it's a distraction. And it's trying to fill a void that'll never be fulfilled. And you have some people I believe that some people think that they're, even with the pornography in general, like, I thought that I was sexually frustrated, but I was purposeless frustrated.
That's good.
Purposeless frustrated. I didn't know what my purpose was. And knowing now that the root of what the Lord has delivered me from as far as the pornography, the spirit of that root came from abuse. And we know that abuse comes in many forms. So anything that was rooted in perversion, everything, it was all perverted. Everything, me being exposed to all of that, it was all perversion at its finest to distract me from where I am today. I think that if we stick to who we believe we are and we allow Christ, it sounds so cliche, but there are so many things that we can line up with and to as far as who we are as an individual, and you will find out that sex is like one of the last things that's on your list as far as who you are as an individual. Sex does not make you, it does not break you, it does not it's
Value
not who
you.
you were created to be, or just, sex is, because if you look around, all you see is sex. That's the easiest thing to have or do in life if you don't have nothing else. And a lot of times when I was in it, I didn't have anything. I didn't even have myself. So once I got delivered from that and found out what my purpose was, I made sure that what I was delivered from, I wanted to be a part of helping and being an inspiration and example of you can be delivered and taken from something that's keeping you bound. So
I'm good you said. I'm glad you said purpose, Danielle. So KV Banks said, find the root. Danielle said, find your purpose. And for me, once I found out my purpose was two words, my purpose is to advance hope in the earth, no matter what I'm doing. I am advancing hope, no matter if it's a Facebook post or I'm speaking to 1,000 women on the stage or I'm writing a book. My goal is always to advance hope. It will also, when you really find out your purpose, it will also explain to you why the enemy has been trying to kill it.
Yes.
Since 5 and 6 years old, since I've been dealing with depression and suicidal thoughts, because how can I advance hope when I don't have no hope for me.
Yeah.
You can't. So the enemy gonna try and get you early before he like, I can't let this one find out her purpose.
Yeah.
If she find out her purpose, she gonna be
It's
unstoppable.
over.
Unstoppable. You can't stop me, baby, because regardless of what I'm doing, if I'm on the street corner, I'm about to advance hope and incur hope into somebody. I'm gonna inject hope into somebody.
Yeah.
So yeah. So Lady Shipman, if you could come on, we're gonna wrap it up. We've been on an hour and a half. I just want you to come on, and what would you say to somebody who's watching, who they in porn, they either think it's okay or they struggling with it or they ain't struggling with it. Some people like, hey, this is just what I do. What would you say?
I would say seek the Lord. I think that it's important that when you deal with anything that you take it to him so he can actually give you the what to do, the how to do it. Versus you trying to figure it out on your own, because just doing it in your own strength or your own might, if it was just that easy, you would have already done it.
That's
so
good.
It's more about relationship with him and him giving you the ability to not do it. You know, if he says it's okay and you feel like that's your relationship with him, then that's something you take up with him.
Yeah.
But you know, I think that's what I would say. I mean, seek him, because people can give you advice. We are not all the same. You know,
right.
You can say, well, this is what he said to me and this is how I did it, you know, or like I got rid of all my premium channels, but maybe, you know, they don't even have premium channels already and it's a struggle. So, you know, It's about seeking him and allowing him to tell you the what to do, the how to do it.
Yeah. No, I thank y'all so much. If I could say anything, my biggest thing is I want everybody to live a life of freedom and a life of abundance. And I want people to be free indeed. Y'all, that Bible teaches us there's a reason God put the word indeed in there, not just free, but free indeed.
Free indeed.
Yeah, and there are people, you broken free from some stuff, you got out of that abusive marriage, you've been through the divorce, but I'm talking about going all the way back and getting that little girl, that little boy that was molested, that little girl, that little boy that's addicted to porn, that little girl, that little boy that was rejected or abandoned in a womb, whatever it is. We have to go all the way back to the root. Like my brother KB said, I thank y'all so much for joining me on this platform. We're going to do this every week until the Holy Spirit say do something different, or until he give me a national talk show. And then we can just be like, oh, TV, yay. But I thank y'all. Next week, we're actually going to talk about the negative effects of molestation. So we're going to go to molestation. And then the week after that, we'll go back to masturbation. Not so much porn, but just masturbation in general. So that's what y'all can look forward for the next 2 weeks. We'll see y'all next Tuesday right here on Facebook Live. This has been Uncut. See y'all soon.
All right. Good day.